Okay, thank you, Alex. Well, the brilliant late and great Dave Allen there talking about the absurdities of language. Good to start off with a laugh, I think, and apologies if the language offended anyone. Anyway, good evening and welcome to the Critical Mass Radio at criticalmassradio.co.uk. And it's time once again for Scouse Night, where the Mickey Mouses take over the studio. And I only found out that that's Cockney rhyming slang for Scousers this week, so there you go. I also actually did a little bit of research on the word Scousers and Scouse, just for a laugh, because we all got to carry on laughing during these times of control and hardship, right? So I just thought this might be interesting to people living out of the area and in other parts of the world, because we're all part of the whole that is humanity at the end of the day in our own unique ways, and I just thought it might help give people more of an idea of who we Scousers actually are. So this is what Wikipedia's definition of the word Scouse was. Scouse is an accent and dialect of English found primarily in the metropolitan county of Merseyside and closely associated with the city of Liverpool and the adjoining urban areas, including the Wirral. The accent is known to be as far-reaching as Flintshire in Wales and Runcorn and Skelmersdale in Cheshire and Lancashire, respectively. The Scouse accent is highly distinctive and has little in common with those used in the neighbouring regions of Cheshire and Lancashire. The accent itself is not specific to all of Merseyside, with the accents of residents of St Helens and Southport, for example, more commonly associated with the historic Lancastrian accent. It was primarily confined to Merseyside until the 1950s, when slum clearance in the city resulted in migration of the populace into new pre-war and post-war developments into surrounding areas of what was informally named Merseyside and later to become officially known as Merseyside in 1974. The continued development of the city and its urban areas has brought the accent into contact with areas not historically associated with Liverpool, such as Prescott, Whiston and Rainhill in Merseyside, and Widnes and Runcorn in Cheshire. Variations within the accent and dialect are noted along with proper colloquialism that show a growing deviation from the historical Lancashire dialect and a growth in the influence of the accent in the wider area. Inhabitants of Liverpool are called Liverpudlians, but are more oftenly described as Scousers. People from outside of Merseyside who do not speak Scouse are commonly referred to as woolly-backs or wolves. Not to do with sheep, I hasten to add. The Scouse accent of the early 21st century is markedly different in certain respects from that of earlier decades, and the Liverpool accent of the 1950s and before was more a Lancashire-Irish hybrid. But since then, as with most accents and dialects, Scouse has been subject to phonemic evolution and change, and one could compare the way that George Harrison and John Lennon spoke in the old Beatles films, such as A Hard Day's Night, with modern Scouse speakers such as Stephen Gerrard and Jamie Garriger. Harrison pronounced the word fur more like standard English fur, as Cilla Black still does. A couple of other Scouse features include words such as the use of giz instead of give us. The use of the term made up is to portray the feeling of happiness or joy in something. For example, I'm made up I didn't go out last night. The term sound is used in many ways. It is used as a positive adjective such as it was sound, meaning it was good. It is used to answer questions of our well-being such as I'm sound in reply to how are you. The term can also be used in negative circumstances to affirm a type of indifference such as I'm dumping you. The reply sound in this case translates to yeah, fine, okay, I'm fine about it, no problem, etc. So there you go, an insight into the mind of a Scouser. And I don't even look in the chat room right now because I can just imagine what they're saying, but I don't think Rob's in there yet, so I should be safe.
What's happening, lads?
Alright, lad. Got to go and see our kid in the Aussie.
Lens and nickel, mate. I've only got buttons, lad.
I need a new clobber, lad.
This is a short documentary focusing on the wonderful Scouse accent. The Scouse accent is famous worldwide and is iconic to the city of Liverpool. But where did this dialect come from? Today we will find out and also hear from members of the public with their views and thoughts.
I'm Jackie Downey and I'm proud to say I am a genuine Scouser, even though I've lived away from the town a long time. People have very funny definitions, I think, of what it is to be a Scouser, and because I've lived away so long, I'm sick of defending the city and going against what people's preconceptions of a Scouser is. You know, like the old days in the 80s when Harry Enfield did the Scousers sketch, the shell suits, the perms, calm down, calm down.
This is the life, eh? Hey,
Hey, you want to fight or something?
Originally, Liverpool started off as an amazing worldwide seaport, didn't it? And it attracted all kinds of different nationalities all over the world. And from what I've gathered, even the word Scouser, it comes from when there was a huge influx of Norwegian shipping into the port in the 18th and 19th centuries. And the poor sailors used to make this sort of lobster or seafood stew called Scouser, or something like that, or Scouse. And then it came from that originally. Even the word Scouser comes from a Norwegian stew made by Scandinavian sailors.
It is a known fact that the Scouse accent is highly influenced by Irish and Scandinavian immigration into the ports. But it's not just Scousers who can talk the lingo. People from around Britain can easily speak the accent.
What's happening, lads?
What's happening, lad?
I had a murder with my fella last night, so we got bin bags.
I need new clobber, lads.
It's quite interesting, I think, that one time in my life when I was about 11, I'm an only child, and my great-grandfather came to live with us, but I was also living with my grandparents and my mum and dad. So there were 4 generations of Scousers in the house, and even as a child I could hear the differences. Like my grandparents, my grandfather was a real Irish Scouser, but he was from the Scotland Road area, and he was a singer and a comedian. And his dialect, and I've researched this as well because I'm interested in the Scouse dialect, it was more a mixture of Lancashire and Irish than it is now. And it's changed dramatically, I think. And when we got into the 60s with all the free thinking and the drugs and everything, and young people got more of a voice, and I think they got more sort of aggressive as well. And now I think it's changed even further, where a lot of like young people, like your age and younger, have sort of got this slight aggressive tone, I think, to their voice sometimes. And a lot of the girls, you know, the horses all been there into the news.
Hi, love, what are you doing with Abigail? I'm just telling me off to get a baby.
I'm going to go to bed in a minute and go get some lit.
I think it quite clearly changes in different parts of the city, and yeah, I mean you can split the city generally into two halves. You've got the north and south, and them accents are distinctly different in my understanding. If you look at the north end of Liverpool, you've got like kind of very hard consonants and vowels. As you go to the south end of the city, the vowels are much rounder, and the same is also true if you go to the other side of the river. A lot rounder vowels, and then within that, I suppose you can probably see minor changes. Like if you go to the north end of the city, they probably speak a slightly different way in Kirkdale than they do in Inverashley. And this is not unique to Liverpool, this happens all over in every city. But the Scouse accent is particularly fragmented in that way.
The Scouse accent is thought to be very hard to understand with the thick, fast dialect. This is mainly the younger generation, like this young lad for example.
Overall, with the better team, just have to win. Were you getting a bit frustrated in the first half because you seem to have only scraps to feed on?
No, probably more with a lot of things really. I don't really want to say, but some people are not, doing the job right.
Did you let your feelings be known?
Yeah, of course. It's everyone gets frustrated now and again, but got the booking and then learned from it and went on and managed to help us win the game, which I'm delighted with. I swear the couple at it, don't lucky. I swear the couple at it, don't lucky. I swear the couple at it, don't lucky.
But also, Scousers are known for their great sense of humour in the dialects, like this young man.
Like 1 minute I'm Brewsty, next minute I'm on my ass, always go for the chicken burger from the Mackey's, doing it.
As we are coming to an end, I have learned a lot more about the accent what I never knew before. But one thing that makes me wonder is, what will it be like in the future?
In 20 years' time, the dialect could well change again, because with phonetics and when you'd study voice, it takes 1 or 2 generations apparently for a dialect to change if a new influx of people come into the city. So maybe that could happen.
I think, in my opinion, I think the language is going to become more homogenous. It's going to become less distinct. Because I think with the influence of media, especially global media, accents I think right across this country, especially, I'm not an expert on it, like I say, but across this country, I think they're changing. Everything's just becoming a little bit more the same-ish. We've still got our varieties within the regions and stuff like that, but everything's just becoming a little bit more homogenised.
Yeah, right, I'm off, kid, in a bit. Peace.
You're listening to Critical Mass Radio. Now, it's our turn.
So, a dish. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
If you like it that much, we do it in a tin as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. I feel really ignorant asking this, but what is scouse?
It's very much a peasant working class type dish. Comes from Norway. We adopted this Norwegian dish, which was a lovely big stew with beef, meat, fat, you name it. Throw all the vegetables in, stir it around. Very nutritious, and stop you getting scurvy.
Now, what do you say for bon appetit in Liverpool?
Have a good scranlar.
Have a good scranlar.
What do you think?
I think it's very good. The beef has been shredded, so that it just gives it a kind of real, kind of lovely, stringy texture, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've never heard it called that before. Oh, no. But you can't beat a good, solid bowl of scouse. And I said it's got everything in it.
So it's a very, very good metaphor for the accent.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Liverpool's signature dish comes from Norway. It seems everything in Liverpool originates somewhere else.
So there you go. For anyone in any doubt about what a Scouser or Scouse is, it's now explained, and I hope my partner in crime, the Rev, who's on next, enjoyed that too, because he's the true Scouse out of the two of us. I'm just posh Scouse with the occasional lapse, or maybe not so occasional. Basically tonight I'm going to be focusing on community, because it's where we all came from, it's our true roots, and it's what we are supposed to be. So moving on, I want to highlight tonight the ever-increasing importance of us becoming as self-sufficient as we can in these current times. Because if we lived in a utopian world, we would be 100% self-sufficient, and we'd all have enough food, enough water, enough power, enough fuel, and enough money to live a well-rounded, healthy, and comfortable life. We would have to work hard, yes, but at the end of the day, we would have the satisfaction of being able to take care of ourselves, really, without selling out to these greedy people at the top or taking handouts from corrupt governments. And I think it's both logical and consistent with the evidence to believe that self-sufficiency is an important ingredient for individuals and societies to be successful. And it really does encourage productivity by tying the ability to spend to the need to produce. And it allows people to be free rather than dependent on others, and gives people, above all else, self-respect. So, since self-sufficiency creates capability and independence, it also produces self-esteem, and studies on happiness have shown that once income levels surpass those required for subsistence, that these factors are more highly correlated with happiness levels than the amount of money one has. So, it's logical to conclude that self-reliance is both productive and satisfying. And I've got another audio coming up now. This is from the US, and it's therefore geared for out there, but I mean, people are the same the world over, and what is said in this, I think, is basically true for all of us. So, in a nutshell, not only will self-sufficiency give us freedom from a system that has become about as corrupt as it can, but it will also give us confidence and pride in ourselves, and a chance to once again become communities rather than separate, completely government-dependent, controlled people. So, we have basically so lost the skills that we once had to live without dependency, and this is a scary thing, I think, because when we really do become so completely and utterly dependent on others to live, then that gives others complete power over us, which can never be a good thing. So essentially, we have to find our way back to what is right and free, and this leads me onto a town in Yorkshire called Todmorden, which is setting the trend here in a massive way. So Todmorden is a market town within the metropolitan borough even of Calderdale in West Yorkshire, England. It forms part of the Upper Calder Valley and has a total population of just under 15,000 people, and it's located about 17 miles from Manchester. Heavy industry is part of Todmorden's history, not its present. The industrial chimneys have largely gone, and the remaining mills have mostly been converted for other purposes. And the town's industrial base is much reduced, and at one time Todmorden had the largest weaving shed in the world. There has been a great deal of regeneration activity, and Todmorden is now increasingly a commuter town for people working in Manchester, Leeds, Bradford, Huddersfield and smaller towns. Todmorden also services the local rural area and attracts visitors through its market, indoor and outdoor, various events, heritage and the local Pennine countryside. Changing work patterns may have influenced the fact that the town was the first rural telephone exchange in Britain to be broadband enabled through public demand, and rising house prices over recent years are a particular problem as there is limited land available in the valley for building affordable housing. It has for centuries been considered the safest accessible route directly across the Pennines. And just as a point of interest, Todmorden has been used as a filming location on a number of occasions, including for the 1980s BBC TV drama Juliet Bravo, which I used to watch, and the award-winning BBC One series Life on Mars. It also featured in a TV show about haunted buildings, which included a closed surgery in which Harold Shipman worked for a number of years. So what's happening in Todmorden that makes it so special and a groundbreaking leader in these times? Well, basically, it's down to something called Incredible Edible Todmorden. And I'll just paste the website details in the chat room shortly on the CMR page, so you can have the link for that. Or I don't know if anybody else has got it. I think Phil said he might have that as well. So what they're actually doing is growing and campaigning for local food, and it's an amazing campaign that they've started off because they've actually taken to planting and growing vegetables and trees around their town, and they've planted several orchards with more to come. And they're also working with public bodies around the town to actually use their land, for example, like the fire station and the railway station, or to work with them on their own actual incredible ideas. And every school in the town is now involved in growing, so they're letting the kids get involved, which is key, and they promote food-based learning for the community as a whole. They also reach back into local memories and knowledge with a history project, and they run campaigns aimed at making different futures happen through local campaigns like Every Egg Matters, and by spreading the word locally, regionally and nationally. And they've also branched out to greenfield sites working on donated land in Walsden to create a major resource for growing and learning, and also on donated land in Gorpley to develop ideas about hilltop farming. So there really is some amazing stuff going on there, and they're setting such an important example to us all, for us all to follow, I believe. They're promoting community growing, and their Growing Around Town is run by a group of volunteers called the Community Growers Group, and they grow for anyone to pick and use. Most of it is done around the town in raised beds, which means that they can use fresh, uncontaminated soil and avoid messing surrounding areas. And many of the beds have been adopted by groups of people who do much of the planting and maintenance themselves, and they also benefit from the produce as well. And some of the town centre beds that are more in the public eye are looked after by the group together. A lot of the work is concerned with rediscovering lost skills, which I mentioned just before, and that's from growing all the way through to cooking. And in the work they do with schools, they aim to foster a reconnection with where food comes from, how it's grown, how it's transformed by processing and cooking. And basically the learning possibilities are immense, and it really has got to be one of the most important learning curves for our future generations possible, in my opinion. But it's not just at school and college that the learning is needed, and they've also pioneered working with Pennine Housing on local housing estates, helped provide planters for growing, and helped organising volunteers. They've helped with running grafting, permaculture and beekeeping courses, and in 2011 they partnered with Calderdale Adult Learning in running courses in many subjects and covering things like the basics of growing, skills of pruning and grafting, and more complex and specialised areas like edible fungi, herbal medicine and bees. So just amazing, amazing stuff, I think, going on in Todmorden that just inspires me so much. And I've actually got the community lead of the Incredible Edible Todmorden group, Mary Clear, coming on hopefully live in about 15 minutes or so to tell us a bit more. And for me, this is key. This is absolutely key to our future, to bring back what's been taken away from us deliberately by those in control, which is our deep sense of community, helping each other, connecting, putting in the efforts together and reaping the rewards ourselves instead of lining the pockets of people who seek to exploit us. So that's got to be a total win-win situation as far as I can see. It's not about money, it's about people working together for the better good. It's also all about an educational culture, changing the way we have been led to think about food and turning it back into something that is healthy and sustains us instead of doing us harm, which is what most of the processed acidic stuff that we now buy actually does to us. Humans thrive on an alkaline diet, which includes a lot of fresh organic vegetables and fruit. And when we live like this, we're healthier, we're happier, we've got more energy, we're rarely ill. So this really, it's all about our tomorrow. The mission statement from Incredible Edible Todmorden Group is that we are passionate people working together for a world where all share responsibility for the future well-being of our planet and ourselves. We aim to provide access to good local food for all through working together, learning from field to classroom to kitchen, and to supporting local business.
There's no doubt that the power of the name, Incredible Edible, has kind of made people smile. And when people smile when they're thinking about things, they're more likely to absorb. We don't do a lot of thinking about this, but it just seems to us our experience. We're not an organisation that does any strategic planning or report writing or anything like that. We're just an organisation that does things because in our bones we feel we need to just demonstrate a different approach. And that demonstration is a completely topsy-turvy way to the way that most professional organisations operate. So we don't ask for permission, we don't operate with a budget line, we don't do anything like that. We just look to see if through the power of thinking about food, we can think about business differently, we can think about planning differently, we can think about community relationships differently, we can think about learning differently, whatever. We're just boring for England on food. And because of that single focus, what we've done is create, endless opportunities for people to elaborate on it, which has been quite exciting. So it's not all about growing food, it's about telling the story of its heritage, or it's about thinking about pieces of artwork, or it's about showing people how to remember the old skills, whatever it might be. But collectively, it creates a critical mass of excitement because it's positive, it's really simple, it's possible, it cuts across age, income and culture. So it's a way of reconnecting people to realise their own potential, to realise the opportunity that they've got in their own lives to live a different future. The way that we don't have to be victims anymore and we do not have to be waiting for checks to drop through. So it's about shifting people's behaviour pattern and helping them to reconnect with their own future. Now, that has got to be something that every single person on this planet has got to grab and do something with, because we are in a hide into nothing. We are sleepwalking into major disasters, and unless we really get our act together, our kids and our kids' kids are going to be up the creek. So it's basically about driving an action programme forward. It's about disseminating that simple statement that we believe in the power of small actions. And collectively, small actions are a piece of the jigsaw of the solution for the future.
You're listening to Critical Mass Radio. Now it's our turn.
Todmorden lies 17 miles northeast of Manchester, at the convergence of three Pennine valleys, and forms part of the ancient border between Yorkshire and Lancashire. Centuries before industry arrived in Todmorden, the local population lived in self-sustaining agricultural settlements on the hilltops. The Industrial Revolution came and went. Recently, a group of activists dismayed at what they perceive as a troubled world have been going back to basics.
Well, about 3 years ago, we decided to invent something that would perhaps make our town better, perhaps make more people aware of the importance of the environment, but do it by talking about local food, because everybody's got to eat, and it just seemed a simple message that might just unite us.
Today is the 4th annual Harvest Festival for Incredible Edible Todmorden.
Postcards, just £3 for a set of 6, go to our farm.
And if this event is anything to go by, there's something of a buzz around the town.
We didn't find any difficulty involving the community right at the beginning. What we did was we knew that people want to do things but they don't know what to do. So we just put a proposition to Todmorden. We had a meeting in my daughter's cafe, and we said, who's up for trying to change the world with local food? And 60 people came. And I stood up and said, what do you think? Should we do something? The time to act is now. Let's not write a report. Let's just get on with it. We can cook, we can share, we can grow. And the whole room exploded. And from that moment I knew that we were onto something.
Now, kale you can actually get from the train station.
For the past 3 years, the idea of local food has been growing and growing.
And it doesn't wilt like spinach.
And today's Harvest Festival is showcasing just how deep-rooted, incredible edible Todmorden has become.
Again, a very, very simple recipe.
Events like this are about bringing everybody here, whether English is their first language, whether they're organic, whether they're vegans or meat. We never ever tie ourselves to one particular method of doing things because we want to be inclusive. We don't want to be a Guardian readers groovy club. This is a club for everybody.
What's this banana go?
Every year at the Harvest Festival is a brilliant celebration of everything that makes Todd truly incredible edible. It's food, obviously, but it's about finding a common language that lets everyone come together and build a better future for all of our children.
The salad looks lovely.
I'm making a chicken biryani, chicken and veg biryani, all with local veg, everything local, all local.
Mixed potatoes, all of that alone. Yeah, more stretching. You just fold and cut.
It's fantastic. I've had some of the curry, the biryani, which is delicious. Eating some duck. It's really lovely just to be able to taste little bits of everything.
Oh, it's great. It's brilliant. There's lots of people here from Todmorden, and it's nice to see community spirit, people getting together.
The honey, the ice cream, I've had the falafels, the resourceful of it all, and the butcher cheese.
Fresh apple juice. I'm just really inspired by the spirit of the people, the willingness of everybody to pitch in. I mean, these apples were all donated. Some people invited us to come to their home and pick the apples ourselves. Some people delivered the apples, and I've even had people bring bags of apples in today. So it's quite special when you have a community that chips in, understands that with all of our efforts, this is what is produced.
Despite today's impressive turnout, continuing to inspire local people is a constant battle.
It takes passion and commitment and the tenacity of a Rottweiler to get the community involved. But it's a forever job. You have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. The path is stony and rough, but the joy of connecting people is, well, you can see today, it's fabulous.
Incredible edible Todmorden's philosophy is based around the idea of keeping 3 plates spinning. These plates represent community, education and business. Spinning 1 plate will bring real benefits to the local area. But if all 3 are spinning, then the aim of becoming a self-sustaining town by re-engaging with the people and the planet is being realised.
The country's desperate for something to point at, a real live model, and that's the thing. People are pointing at Todmorden and saying, this isn't about money, this isn't about staff or funding or empires, it's about a whole community approach to doing things differently.
And education is where it starts.
We've got growing in every school in Todmorden, so we want to put the living heart of schools and children's education to be about food production, the economy, the soil, and all of those things that connect us with our environment.
Incredible Edible Todmorden's Tony Mulgrew is part of a life-changing initiative at Todmorden High School.
Warm the cockles.
He hopes, as school chef, to turn younger members of the community onto the idea of sustainable local food.
There's always complaints about why isn't there chips on the menu every day. So you're going to get that from students. At the end of the day, it's about an educational culture, changing the way people think, how people treat food.
As part of new agricultural courses, the students here grow their own fruit and vegetables and keep chickens for eggs and meat. And all of this yield heads straight to Tony in the school kitchens.
From a chef's perspective, being able to have that fresh produce on your doorstep and educating the kids where good quality food comes from makes a big difference.
Up the road in nearby Walsden, Incredible Edible Todmorden's secret weapon bases himself.
if there's anything around the place that's got stuff growing in it, I probably had something to do with it at some stage.
With his fingers in just about every plot, Nick Green encapsulates the new sustainable spirit of Todmorden.
And the last 6 or 9 months I've been building a market garden learning centre in Walsden, which is about an acre of land fenced off and several large polytunnels to train young people to grow food and business skills, with the idea that we kickstart new businesses up on the tops producing food.
And slowly, with the help of students and volunteers, the Learning Centre is starting to take off.
The last year we grafted 120 apple trees. This year we grafted 300. Originally the idea was to produce our own trees for planting around town, and we've planted something like 700 in various places around the town. And now we're at the point where we're able to sell them through the local garden centre.
But it's not just apple trees where incredible edible Todmorden is continuing to blossom. There's a community campaign called Every Egg Matters, training and encouraging people to keep hens and sell their eggs locally. In any unused space around Todmorden, planting beds have been created where fruit and vegetables now grow. A community herb garden sits unobtrusively on the main road to Burnley. Produce is sprouting outside the police station, the fire station, the train station, and even the health centre. And all of these growing spaces have been created and are run by local volunteers. And the message is, go ahead, take some, it's free. The town is alive with the incredible edible bug, and some residents have been bitten by it.
The sweetest sin.
Very nice.
The mayor presented me with this fantastic live green corsage winner's rosette.
That's because Hannah Merriman has produced the most delicious local delicacy, honey ice cream.
The ice cream that I made today was from bees that are in a hive within 50 metres of here, just up in the hills, and the milk and the cream are from the hills around here. When you taste the ice cream, it's like a real sort of Mediterranean treat. It's quite luxurious and you feel a bit naughty and a bit like you're on holiday. And I just can't believe that this wet valley makes something so totally delicious.
With her newfound love of honey, Hannah has come up with a novel way to spread the message about Todmorden.
I created this game, which is called the pollination game. So we've got a peg here, which is just a normal peg, and we've got our websites on either side, because you've got to do that these days. And then it's got a little tag, and on one side it says, you've been pollinated, and on the other side it says, go pollinate someone else. So I gave these to loads of kids and said, right, here's the game. You've got to get these on grown-ups' coats without them realising. So I'll demonstrate. That's how you do it. And hopefully it will go a long way. We've got 3 going to London on a train right now.
There are other towns up and down the country that now follow Todmorden's model. Wakefield, Rosendale, Huddersfield, Doncaster. But it's not just a local phenomenon. There are incredible edible towns emerging all over the country and the world, with groups as far away as Africa, Canada, Australia, and most recently, Hong Kong.
Incredible Edible Todmorden, in a nutshell, is about people leading a more sustainable lifestyle, and the whole aim of it is for a kinder world.
I think we might have a revolution on our hands. We really want people to just get the buzz. This is a people's movement. You don't have to have any particular qualifications. You just have to give a damn about tomorrow and find your own little piece of the jigsaw and put it in. That's all there is to it.
Okay, so we started off there with a lady called Pam Warhurst, who's the chair of Incredible Edible, talking to us, and that went on to the basic documentary about what they're doing there. And I'm now going to attempt to bring on Mary Clare, who's their community lead there. I'm actually going to do this live for the first time, so it's slightly nerve-wracking, but let me give this a go, and fingers crossed this is going to work. Bear with me here. She's actually doing this from her phone. Hello? 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 Sounds interesting.
Hello?
Hello, Mary.
Hello?
Mary,
Can you
hi.
hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. I thought
Perfect.
I got the wrong place then because I could hear music.
I know, it's the music upstairs.
All right. Well, you're live on CMR, Mary, so thank you very much for joining us. It's great to have you on. I do appreciate you coming out of your meeting because I know you've been in a meeting this evening.
No, it's lovely. It's great to talk to you.
Great. Well, just to give you a bit of background, we've been running the station now for just over about 5 months, and all of us involved are really committed to making change in our country and our communities and highlighting the solutions that will empower us to do this. And when I found out what you guys are doing in Todmorden, from a fireman friend of mine who lives down south, we were just so encouraged by everything you're doing, and I know you really inspired this guy that I know that he's got all the firemen growing vegetables on the roof terrace at the fire station down there. And
excellent.
It's great, isn't it? I know. And we really just believe this is the way forward. So just wanted to really ask if you'd start off by telling us what really started all this off in Todmorden, Mary.
I think the idea that there is no leadership in this country, both locally and nationally, about the planet, about the climate, about the poor, about really the shit's going to hit the fan. And we were thinking you can go either way. You can be helpless and powerless and blame other people, or you can put all the energy of worrying and concern into action. And we thought it'd be a lot healthier just to, it's not a dress rehearsal, just to try, just to do something, anything that could make a difference, tiny differences, and join it all up.
Fantastic, and that's such a fantastic outlook. And so how many of you was it that felt that way? Did you have a good group of people?
Well, 2 of us got together, which is how all good, great things begin. 2 people getting together, loads of coffee, having a conversation, put an ad in the local paper, and we said, we're worried about the future, we're worried about the melting ice caps, the planet, food security, and the future of our grandchildren. Are you worried too? If you are, come to a meeting. We thought 5 people. Yeah. 5 people come, was cracked it. 60 people came.
Wow.
So we knew we were onto something.
Wow, that is incredible.
And of course we had nothing to do then because we only had a packet of Post-its and no plans. But hey ho, who needs them?
So where did it go from there, Mary?
Oh, I think people just wanting to do things. We said, shall we wait for permission to do things or shall we just do it? No, we're not going to wait, because my message to you and all your listeners are the prisons are actually full. So now is the time to get up and do something. No one's going to go to prison for doing a good thing. No one's going to go to prison for using land, that shitty land, and turning it into something beautiful. So we're living in one way, we're living at the greatest moment in time where people can take direct action and it will all be all right.
Love it.
Trust me.
Love it. So how did you actually work with the so-called authorities on this?
Well, we told them what we wanted and said, anyway, we can't hang about, so, and I think then we just did it.
So you just took your own bath and just went for it, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. And so what happened? Did you have any repercussions from doing that?
No, none at all. Now, I'll just really want to emphasise this point. We're an organisation that never ever blames anyone because we believe it's negative. We don't campaign against anything. We don't tie our flag to organic, vegan, vegetarian. We're a broad church, if you want to use that word.
Right.
So we're driven by social justice. So we want to include people, not exclude them because we're all guardian, reading, vegetarian, whatever. We want to keep it broad. And the other thing is, so I'm going to give you my example. I got carried away there. My example is the railway station have let us, we've got a free library in the waiting room where you just help yourself to books, keep them. You don't have to bring them back, just take them.
Wow.
We've got 16 your own herbs on the platform, and in the car park we've got some beautiful beds at breakers. Last week the railway station said, we want to develop the car park. I hate cars. I don't drive, but that's the deal. We took the land, we asked them, can we grow food here? They were supportive and fantastic. And now the time's come where they're going to take the land back. Cool, it doesn't matter. We're not going to make a fuss. We're not going to say we've gardened the land for 4 years, because some people have seen growing food for people to share in public spaces as another agenda. But for us, it's just, if we can use it, and while we can, it's doing good, we'll have it. We might ask, we might not ask. And if you want to take it back, we're not going to waste our time campaigning to keep it. We're just going to go somewhere else and take or grow or use something else. So it's lots of people up and down the country get into planting stuff to stop things, to stop supermarkets, to stop cars. But we just say our message, we want to keep our message, which is about doing good stuff. So we don't like to get into battles with people. We like to walk away.
I absolutely love your attitude on that, because as you say, you can get so ensnared in just trying to fight all this that you lose track of what you're actually trying to do in the first place.
I should let you two ask questions. I want to say this. It's so easy to be anti-something.
Yeah.
It's so fantastic. It's really bloody hard to keep going every day and being positive. But the world needs some positive messages. It really does. And that doesn't mean you're not an activist because you're trying to embrace other people's agendas. That doesn't mean to say you're not radical and you're not trying your best for a better world just because you're going to walk away from fights that you can't win.
But at the end of the day, it's all about us living together in whatever way we can do it, isn't it, at the end of the day?
And sometimes you have to let go of things to get things.
Yes, indeed. So how far has it actually spread within the town itself now?
Well, we've got 36 other projects in this country that are called Incredible Edible. And then there's projects all the time that are just, because we just say, well, you don't have to start from scratch. Take all the stuff off our website, take all our information, cross our name out, put your own name in. Or sometimes we do it for people. And then we've got projects across the world. So it's all a little bit weird because we haven't got any staff or office or filing cabinets or stamps or works phones. So it's really hard to keep track of all what happens, but we just trust it'll all be good and let it go.
Brilliant, brilliant. So how many people do you feel are actually involved in this now within the?
Oh, in our town.
Yeah.
In our town. So this is a small town. Well, because we started with food, we use food as our Trojan horse for a kinder world, and we're now kind of involved in everything, in asset transfer of the market, in community activity, in celebrations, concerts. So hundreds and hundreds of people. We have 250 people on our what's called muck-in list. So that's an email that says when a job needs doing, like Sunday, a load of soil needs moving. So that email will go out to all the people on the muck-in list, and they can either turn up and help us or not. But we've never, ever had a job that can't be done. So, and in a sense, we've a page a month in our local newspaper. We're in every school. There are 6 primaries, 1 secondary school. So I suppose it's kind of just, we've tried our hardest. In your own town, you have to be humble and small and subtle in a small town because you can't run away. So it's, I don't know. I suppose everyone knows of us. Our stuff is everywhere.
I absolutely love the idea of a mucking list. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Just muck in and do. A lot of times people just want to do something practical.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. So how would you say then, as a rule, since this started, when was it you started it, Mary? What year?
4 years ago. I can't work backwards.
Right,
2008.
Okay. 2008, right. So how would you say that you feel things have changed within Todmorden since then with regards to community spirit and the way people act?
No, we know that vandalism in the environment is down 18% year on year. We know that people might piss on a petunia, but they don't on a parsnip because none of our stuff is damaged. Why that is, we don't know. We know that every child in this town has had an opportunity to grow, to eat fresh food. In terms of community activity, please go on this website, Valley of Lights. We've got a fantastic thing happening next week, which involves the whole town and maybe 6 or 7 different groups coming together to do a nighttime parade. You know, we British, we go, we can't do anything after dark because it all rains. We say, sod the rain, we're going to do it after dark in the rain and with fire. So it's going to be lovely. So I'd say in times of austerity, when shops are closing, people are unemployed, things are getting really, really tough, I'd say there's a great can-do feeling in this town.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. And I was saying before that you are actually promoting this to all the children in the schools as well, and various courses are taking place. So would you say it's had a big impact on the children too there?
If I tell you that we in the middle, none of us are paid, we've created, because jobs are everything, you know, we're in the real world. Some of us are given up, like I've given up a job to do this as my full-time job. But for the school, it's got a £750,000 project where the children are going to grow food, fish, aquaponically. They've already got 50 chickens, they're going to have bees. And the whole curriculum of the school, 1,000 children, is changed so that food is at the heart of it. So whether it's food in textiles, in history, in geography, you'll be able to learn all the get land-based qualifications, dry stone walling, sheep shearing, all of that stuff. So it's made an enormous difference.
Wow, I think you're an absolute inspiration to all of us. Did you say that you're actually promoting this to other areas as well?
Oh, we spend our lives travelling, and our lives tours. So tomorrow morning I have a tour of 20 people. I don't know where they're coming from, but I do know another 4 are coming after that 20, and this is in November. There's nothing to see, but we don't say no. So, and then we have a calendar of tours across Europe, across the world. Pam leaves for Brazil next Thursday.
Wow.
I come back from Maastricht and Poland. So we say to people, all you have to do is get us there, pay our travel. If you've got money, give us a donation, and if you haven't, buy us a packet of seeds. That's how it works.
Well, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So have you got any particular advice you'd like to give to any villages or towns that are want to start off?
I would say, don't sit there whinging and moaning about the world. Do something, and whether that is just picking up a few cans on your way, bending your back and sticking them in a bin, whether it's joining some local group, even though there might be a pain in the arse, you know, and just make a cake for a jumble sale. Just do something, because when 2 or 3 people getting together and saying, that bus stop of ours, there's dog shit on it and beer cans, let's go and clean it up and make it nice. It takes half an hour, and it will make people smile. And once people smile, they start talking. Once people start talking, they start waking up to what's happening in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. I mean, this is something we're trying to promote here on CMR as well, the fact that there are so many individual groups working for different things, and I think we all need to come together.
It's horrible. If we got to use the dog-eat-dog thing, you need to hunt as a pack. We need all good people collectively across the world even if we don't even, you know, if you're believers of the invisible man or whatever you are believing, join together and find the good part of what you can join together in, and then it will spread like crazy.
Yeah, because that's our power, that's our strength, right?
Our strength is joining the dots, and there are dots of goodness everywhere.
Fantastic. Oh, Mary, this has been fantastic. Total inspiration, as I say. We're going to add a link to your website on the station webpage, definitely.
And anyone can just take anything. You know, it's one of them website where you've got to ask for anything. Just help yourself.
Great, smashing. Anything else you'd like to say to finish, Mary?
No, I think it's so fabulous that there's a group of you bothering to do something, and you're doing your bit, and I think just be lovely to yourselves and have hot chocolate or treat because you're doing something great too. Be good. All right.
Great. Well, that's
Take care.
wonderful. Okay, Mary, just going to say, if you want to come back on the station at any time to promote anything you're doing, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I'll get you on.
You're not far, Manchester. Get on that bloody train to Todd. November the 24th. It's a Saturday. Not this one, next one. 12 till 4, all day long, free for children in the town hall. Amazing activities.
Unfortunately, that's the day of our big conference, Mary, which is such a pity. But
all right then, enjoy your conference.
But I will certainly make a trek.
Doing what I'm doing, I'd come.
Oh well, I will certainly make a trek out there at some point because I'm totally inspired by what you're doing. So thanks again, Mary, and I hope to have you on again at some point in the future. But thanks a lot. You've been a total inspiration. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
All right, cheers, Mary. Bye bye. Thank you. Could you end the call? Yeah. Cheers.
You're listening to Critical Mass Radio. Now it's our turn.
So guys, yes, we have the Time to Act CMR conference coming up really fast now, a week this Saturday on the 24th of November in Didsbury, Manchester. So you've got just over a week to reserve yourself a place on what promises to be a leading edge event with some amazing new information revealed about how we can combat the tyranny that rains down upon us. Just £10 for 10 hours of incredible information and a chance to get together with like-minded people and unite for the sake of our future. So no excuses, folks. Let's do this. Your Personal Supercomputer, Handbook for the Future by Robert Young. Chapter 5. The streets were relatively clear as the small group of surfers started their walk from the bus stop towards the local beach. The warmth of the sun and the slight characteristic sense of the coastal breeze seemed to take everyone to another dimension where the dream of a perfect wave took the place of the task at hand. The natural rhythm of the walk took on its own character, but the sudden echo of a dull thud reverberating through the air, followed by an uncharacteristic expletive, rocked the silence and captured the attention of everyone in the street. Jimmy had walked straight into a light pole and crashed to the ground, with his board bag stretched across his head in the most unlikely position. The street rocked with laughter and light-hearted ridicule. Jimmy became the star of the day. He had left behind the mechanism that allowed him to walk safely around in the world. His awareness went to another dimension without first making sure he was safe. His personal supercomputer was diverted to the generation and testing of a reality that he expected to come his way once he reached the water. He was daydreaming. The shock of the sudden collision echoed throughout his body, and his awareness became intense as he passed the next light pole. He shrunk a little as he heard the cheer from the crowd who were successfully navigating the pole. The reprogramming by observation had started. By the third pole, the cheering had stopped and the light poles had disappeared out of his field once again. The unknown sense that detects light poles quickly fell into place and released his vision to capture other things that were much more attractive to a young boy. There are many things that we experience on a daily basis that prove beyond a doubt that there is much more happening in our field than we realise. We have senses and abilities that serve us in many ways and continue to do so as long as our awareness is switched to the timeline that we intend to reside in. Much of what we do in everyday life is supported by functions that we never need to access. Our personal supercomputer is on standby all the time and will provide what is necessary as long as we allow it to work. We are free to work whichever way we wish, but at the slightest intention of our taking over, our personal supercomputer gives up its connection to the physical world and reverts to the position of neutral, acting like power steering in a car, giving assistance but not taking on the steering. The level to which you encourage the use of your personal supercomputer is up to you, but failing to encourage its use is like walking a horse that is ready to ride. You may think it is good to be cautious, but it is much better to climb on the horse and experience the majesty of the ride. This unusual introduction of one of the most extensive applications of our personal supercomputer opens the way to much discussion, and many examples of unknown senses that appear in our body can be contributed to a process instigated by our personal supercomputer. Unlike the detection sense that tells your system where the light poles are, these are unknown senses, instigate physical changes either in or outside the body to affect unspecified physical outputs that adjust your interface with the world and make a major difference in your life. Every day more senses are exposed and our connection to the events of the world become more harmonious. The old habit that developed over the centuries calls on all these unspecified senses or feelings to be captured and called emotion. All so-called emotions cause immediate reaction when the body is asked to respond to something that is blocked in a definition. The unspecified feeling called emotion has no connection to your personal supercomputer and therefore remains in the body as reaction. In the past, this unfortunate habit has led to a life of emotional reaction rather than a life of magic and miracles. The allowance of undefined and unknown senses and outputs from the body and all it surrounds will make room for the magic and miracles that emanate from the induced harmony of your personal supercomputer. Right, so it's time to bring things to a close, and I might not actually be with you live for the next couple of weeks because unfortunately I have a house possession to deal with and about 16 years of house to move on, so I probably am not going to have time to put together a show, but I'll see how it goes. We've also got our Time to Ask conference coming up on Saturday the 24th, as you know, and I've got to prepare for that as well, so I might not be back with you till sort of the beginning of December, but we'll see how it goes again. But rest assured, in the words of Arnie, I will be back. Next up on Scouse Night, as usual, it's Reverend George and Pepper on the Prisoner broadcast, and they are joined this evening by David Lloyd, and we'll be discussing a lot of current issues, including the mysterious black-eyed children phenomena. No idea what that is, but we'll find out very soon. And updates on the geoengineering that governments are actively engaging in, and they welcome anyone who wants to join in. So please ring in, anyone, if you feel you want to join in the Reverend's show coming up next. So good night, everybody, and as always, I wish you all a perfect life, perfect health, and a magic future. Thank you very much for listening, and my end quote tonight is grace. Giving is an act of grace. Through grace, peace is attained. Good night, everybody. Take care.
Man's indomitable spirit can never be vanquished. Every fibre of our existence must be stirred to bring the ultimate resistance against tyranny, injustice and oppression, and extinguish these darkest forces of evil. May my arms be so strong as to carry my fallen brothers out of the darkness and into the light, for nothing, as long as we live, will ever be more important. That's a quote from a chap called Rob Freeman.